Welcome to the Not Nerd Show WWDC edition. I'm Nate Hughes, and we're here to help you tech better. Here with me, as always, Mr. Dave Baylor.
I'm here in the flesh. We're together. This is not green screen.
No.
So yeah, welcome to Studio West.
Yes.
Not Nerd Studio West.
So many improvements since I was last here.
Yeah, we just watched the Worldwide Developer Conference. It ended about a half hour ago, and I think it was an hour and 15 minutes. Did we figure out? And it was a glorious time. We had blueberries, cheese sticks.
Oh, yes.
Various coffees, maybe a bubbly, sparkling water here.
Yes.
Well, if you don't like AI, you are not going to like this Worldwide Developer Conference. And as I mentioned, various religious groups have their big days. The Jews have Passover, Muslims, Ramadan, Christians have Easter and Christmas. And for nerds and Apple fanboys, we have Apple's Worldwide Developer Conference and then the fall event where they release a bunch of new hardware products. So today's a big day. And we were waiting on bated breath to see what was going on. So also, if you're in the chat, let us know if you can hear us.
Yes, we had a technical difficulty.
We may have had some technical difficulties since this little guy right here didn't turn on something. One of the 47 buttons didn't get pressed.
There is a lot of buttons here. And no hat spin today.
Yeah.
This is my Apple hat, the only hat I've repeated on the show. And I use it for the Apple events because why not? So
it's a great hat.
It is a great hat, one that I made myself. This did not come from the Apple campus.
Right.
So
it's a good look.
Not official merchandise. Don't tell Tim Cook.
That's not official?
Yes.
I might have to talk.
Lawyers will be coming after me. But yeah, so it was a whirlwind of information. They started off, as they love to do, there was a short little intro video. Then Tim Cook came up out under the rainbow at the Ring campus in Cupertino and started it off with what he always does, Dave.
Good morning.
Yes. One last time. This could be his last time with John Turnus taking over probably this fall. He did, spoiler alert, have a couple notes at the end thanking everybody. But he quickly talked. He did say that they get 1,000 App Store submissions per hour.
That is crazy.
So all these developers that are watching this, one other note, they do have pretty much directly after the keynote event, they have a specific developer State of the Union session where they get really a lot deeper into the app side of stuff. But this is very public focused. They had 2 minutes at the end of it where he was talking about some of the developers stuff, but it's mostly for you and I compared to the Google and Microsoft recent events that I watched where it was, I don't know who it was for, but that's why Apple is a big company and very successful because they know how to communicate to people. They record this event prior. They show it on a massive screen outside in Cupertino. There's thousands of developers, journalists, YouTubers, employees, everybody out there to watch it on a screen like we watched here at Dave's house on his Samsung Frame TV.
Still working, surprisingly.
Yes. And he took his copious notes about the event. So after that, Tim was on for just a few minutes, and then he brought on Craig Federighi.
Yeah, and Craig loves to talk about the crack marketing team over there at Apple. And one of the big things they do at every developer conference is announce the new name for the macOS operating system.
Yes.
The current one is Tahoe, named after California locations. And this one, drum roll please, macOS
Golden Gate.
Yeah, for the Golden Gate Bridge there in San Francisco. I thought that was a great name. And I'm sorry I'm distracted over here. I'm just double checking that our live thing is going, and it does appear to be going okay.
Okay.
Unless that's the one that we messed up. That I messed up.
Oh yeah, we're having some fun. We're just so excited from all this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look. Yes, we are live.
Nice. So yeah, chime in if you're in the chat. hopefully this algorithm will release it, notify everybody.
Yes.
And we have one of our co-producers has let us know that the audio is good. So that's good to hear. So let's move on. After the introduction of Golden Gate, Craig took us through multiple items. He was going to talk about platform improvements, trust and safety, and Apple Intelligence and Siri was kind of the overview for the event. And he started off talking about the design and liquid glass refinements. I misspelled it in my notes there. Liquid glad. And speaking of that, not a lot of people are very glad about the liquid glass. There's two camps. You either love it or you hate it, and there's not a lot of middle ground. So they basically made the feature of a slider where you can basically turn it off or turn it on or just dial it in a little bit depending on what you want. And another thing is no one's ever thought of this idea. They put a little bar behind these icons to make them a little less invisible when you have content. I don't know if you've noticed that, but on many apps, these little icons will just float over the content, and then they're transparent. And so you're like, where'd that button go? Yes. Well, now they're going to put a little, like a dock bar behind them, which is not new. They've done this before, but it's going to help with legibility, and I am all for it.
Yes.
So you can be like, oh, the content is in this little rectangle. That's a very good place for me to look. Let's see. They've expanded the sidebar. With Tahoe, there was some rectangles within rectangles, which kind of was supposed to do some layering, but it just kind of added to visual clutter and confusion. So they've removed that again, which is the way it was before. What else? Oh, the corner radius is a big one. So window corner radius, your Mac, these days, the screen on your Mac is curved, and then the windows also have a curve. Well, Tahoe introduced multiple radii of design, and when they're stacked together and put next to each other, it looks like it's just a mistake. So they have sorted all that out and decided on one corner radius parameter and have done that across the system. So I famously, not very famously, have not even installed macOS Tahoe on any of my computers, mainly because of that design. The content was all shrunk down. The windows got bigger, and it felt like it was like a Fisher-Price kids type thing to me. So now that they've kind of scaled back on some of that, I'm a little more excited about using it.
Well, and it's just ridiculous on the corner radiuses, because you'll see viral videos where it's like people line up their MacBook, their iPhone, their AirPods case, their Apple Watch, and all the corner radiuses perfectly match up. But then your application windows, they didn't match, and it's like,
what are, and it's like really wide on some of them. I'm like, what? The content has to be pushed to the middle because the wide corner radius. Anyway, it doesn't make any sense, and so they've stepped back on that, and I'm glad about that. And you've got to be excited about this. Gone are the days of one layer icons, Nate. Now the elements within icons can have multiple layers of liquid glass separating them. I think it's going to result in visual clutter, because to have a readable piece of iconic information in a square this big, less is more. Let's just put it that way. Less is more. So we'll see how that goes. But enough of the design. Let's move on to usability.
Yes, indeed. We've got, so they kind of talked about it, and a lot of the rumors were around this year that they're just kind of dialing things in, not doing a bunch of big changes besides the series stuff we'll get to later. But the usability, system stability, everything's going to be faster. It'll be preloaded. It's kind of anticipating what you're going to do next so that it'll be able to do stuff for you.
Photos will load faster.
Yes, photos load faster. Hopefully they won't be trying to upload to iCloud 2 seconds after you take them, so you can actually access them, which boggles my mind.
Yeah, it's something I mentioned while we were doing that. It's like, I'll take a photo of something and I want to share it with a friend, and it's like downloading it, and I'm like, why isn't it still on my phone?
Yes. They've got the CPU scheduler, so that's part of where it's anticipating, hey, what do they usually use at this time? They're going to pick the right applications, what's loaded, what's not, to just increase that performance, which I always love performance increases. Macs are super fast already. iPhone, current Apple products are super fast, but they're really focusing on, hey, let's just make sure everything's working the way it should be. And for iOS 27, which obviously is their biggest product, the iPhone, it is still, iOS 27 is still going to work on the iPhone 11 and newer. So no,
like old things.
Yeah. So
well, this is a 10s, but anyway, you get the idea. These older devices, it'll still work.
Yes.
Which is really nice because they didn't have to do that.
Yeah. And the network transitions, like when you're leaving your house and you go off Wi-Fi and you hop on cellular, they're working to improve the handoff between that and prioritizing. Or, they gave the example of driving by your favorite coffee shop that has really good Wi-Fi, and it's trying to like connect that while you're at the stoplight and then get back to your cellular. They're just getting smarter on that stuff. And new send indicators, like when you're sending a photo and messages, it can really slow things down if you're not on a great network. So there's going to be a little indicator there. So you know how that works.
Yeah. And so you're aware of where it is in the sending process and maybe the recipient as well. Yeah. I run into that even at Costco.
Yeah.
It's this big metal box. You go in there and you want to send hey, wife, here's a picture of some beans. Do we need to buy this? And it's like, just wait. Is it sending? I don't know. Is it locked up? What's happening? So any additional information would be helpful. What's next? Wow, search.
Yes.
This kind of delves into the whole dive into this AI type stuff that they're doing here with search. When you do a search on your computer, on your phone, it's gleaning all that information from an index that your system has done of all of your messages, your photos, your emails, documents, everything.
Applications.
Web pages you visited. It's indexing all that stuff so that the search can go in and find that stuff. Well, that's been improved, which is great. Mail has a new ranking system. I don't use Apple Mail. I keep trying it every year, and it just falls flat for me. But when you go to search for an email message in Mail now, it's going to rank information differently, hopefully more accurately. Let's see what else. Shared albums, full resolution, Android. So this was talked about. They went back and forth. This is the search on your phone. Am I getting ahead of myself? No, it's under there. So I'm in Photos on my phone, and we have a shared album. Well, now Android users can have more integration with the shared album and full resolution photos for everyone.
Yeah.
Because before it was like limited resolution, especially if other non-Apple devices were part of the party and different stuff. So that was under the search.
The AirPod equalizer was under that section for some reason.
Yeah.
I think where AirPods, there'll be a customizable equalizer. So if you really like bass,
Yeah.
you really don't like bass, you like your mid ranges, you can dial that in, which is a very cool touch. It was just kind of a weird pop in the middle of the thing.
Yeah, maybe the search section ended and there was a new topic that I missed. But spatial scenes for panos. So imagine you take a big pano and you have a Vision Pro and you're like, I want to have my scene when I'm working on my different stuff or I'm watching a movie. I want to use one of my images and I want it to be 3D. Well, with the new feature, they'll take a panographic photograph and make spatial, so it's got like three-dimensional elements, and now you can live in that world in your Vision Pro.
Oh yeah, this was kind of the quick bullet list area because they were talking about photos and just sharing photos, and then it went to menstrual cycles for like 30 seconds, then it went to AirPod equalizer, then the spatial scenes, then making those environments in Vision OS.
Yeah,
and maps look better.
I think I missed a headline.
Yes.
We weren't under search, we were under something else.
Yes, but search is going to get better, and then they kind of had a bullet list. Now, one of the big things they wanted to talk about, the next section, was trust and safety, and they really focused on child accounts, and there's a lot of features that are kind of already there, but it's kind of clunky. So they really put an emphasis on trust and safety, the kids' accounts being able to dial in their screen time, which apps they can access, websites they can do, a lot more control of that, a lot better control of that stuff for parents, which I think there has over the last year been some flack towards apps, Apple, Android, everybody for kids, and kids safety online. That's an important topic. So they gave that a good little section, and I think it's going to be good.
Basically, all the features they had before with parent controls and all those things, what do they call it? They call it screen time. They've basically improved all that stuff. They've added a few new things, but it seems like they've just expanded on what was already there.
Yes.
And of course, there's a suite of APIs and resources that third-party app developers can use to help protect children against nefarious content. Then we move on to the intelligence, which is pretty much for the rest of the program here. Architecture. So the three areas were architecture, Siri, and apps is what they wanted to talk about. So there's, everybody knows about this, the foundation models. Do we even need to mention?
I should have worn my Apple foundation models hat.
Yeah, today. Whatever that is. So they've improved basically the models for their architecture of artificial intelligence. And this has been talked about, and this is no surprise, they're integrating Google Gemini tools, artificial intelligence, into their Apple Intelligence / Siri. So if you're a fan of Google Gemini artificial intelligence, you're going to be very happy with all the stuff they're doing. But so something that Apple's doing that no one else is doing is that they're doing a lot of models on device, these large language models on device and in a server, but the server is using private cloud compute, meaning not even Apple can look at what's going on there. And so there's a link between your device and the cloud server, and whatever you're doing with the AI model is secret, protected, private. Other companies love to, let's say, spy on that information to train their models to become even better. Apple's decided not to do that. And so if you're using these tools, you can rest assured, if they're telling the truth, that whatever interactions you have are going to remain private. Now, it's not that you're going to be doing bad things with it. It's just you're going to be loading it up with all kinds of personal data about yourself through your contacts, your calendars, your emails, documents, anything else is going to be indexed by this model. And you don't want other people to know about it. So that's a big advantage.
Yeah. I think the security, that's one thing Apple's always focused on, but doing it with these models, it's going to do as much as possible on the phone or device, any of your Apple devices. It'll be doing as much as it can, but like, say, image generation that we'll get to is super intensive. Like they just have not figured that out. So it would send it out to a server to be able to do some of those modifications, bigger queries. It's got that dual layer, which I think I've been saying for a while now. I think that AI, as they make it more and more efficient, is going to be more on device. And there's already people doing that kind of stuff. But it's just going to be more built in. Of course, Microsoft, Google, they're all trying to do more of this stuff as well. But eventually, it's just going to get better and better, more efficient, so it can do more on the device. But Apple partnering with Google really gives them some tools to fill in some of those pieces that they couldn't quite do a year or two ago when they said that Siri was going to be amazing. So they did give a ton of different examples. Moving into Siri AI section after the architecture, because really, who cares about the architecture besides it's supposedly safe? Yes. Yes.
It is a developer conference after all.
Oh, yes, that's true. But the Siri AI is what they're calling it. It's a more capable assistant, which it better be. That's what we've been waiting for.
It's been so bad for so long.
Yes.
Yeah, so they gave us some examples of how to use it, and they had a couple people being like, "Hey, find the recipe for some event that's going on," and it would search through the calendar, find the event. It was one of them was
World Cup
soccer matches between two teams. Let's say it's Argentina and Brazil, and they're like, "What are some dishes from each of these countries I want to have at my party?" And it would go through and it put together all this stuff. And then there was an example of a daughter who made a dessert. I want to include that as well. And so it basically made it an agenda for the party of what's going to be served and what dessert was going to be. And so the promise is really huge. And it's kind of the promise they made a year or two ago about the capabilities of Siri, which it basically should know everything about you because it has access to all the content on your phone in a private way.
Yes.
And so if you're saying, what time is mom going to land at Portland Airport? It should look through your emails and find that information. You know what? I just thought of something. Am I going to have to start using Apple Mail for all this stuff to work?
Well, I think they did talk about because it's
Google.
developers conference that other apps should be able to build it in. Now, famously, Google waits like 2 years to implement Apple features on Apple devices.
But they're partners now.
Yeah, now that they're doing their AI, because I use the Gmail app on my phone and my computer, but it should work well with other apps as they start to build it in. That's why they have the developers conference here in June, so that the developers get access to the betas. They've got about 3 months. And I do believe they said that the operating systems will be coming out in September, and then the Siri AI will be coming out later this year. So come on, Apple, you can do this. We believe in you.
You've had an extra year and a half.
Yes.
Yeah. So other examples of what the new Siri can do were provided, but an interesting part was voice improvements. And so think of, it does some of this already, but someone sends you a text and you're driving and you have your headphones in or whatever, and it's going to read the message to you. And let's say it's from Nate, and he says, Dave, I'm going to be a few minutes late. I'm so excited for Worldwide Developer Conference, So it's going to read back with that sort of inflection. Dave, I'm going to be a little late, but I'm so excited for the Worldwide Developer Conference. So it's going to put those inflections and type of things even more than it does already. Now, you may love that or you may hate it. And so there are some sliders in there where you can basically be naked robotic core and AI supermodel type thing. So that was one thing. And this is a system-wide dictation improvement to go along with that, of it speaking to you, but you also speaking into the system. That's improved and available, of course, to third-party apps. And so the dictation for me isn't too bad. It works pretty good. But hey, any improvements are going to be better. I'm looking more forward to the understanding of it being better. And that's what a lot of the Apple Intelligent features are going to provide, is that not only will it hear you, it'll understand what you're trying to do.
Yes.
Apple Music, play this song by this artist, playing songs similar to that. Yeah. Like, why play the song I asked for?
Yeah. Anyway, a lot of depth, a lot of the conversational, where you could say, play this song by that. Hey, when are they coming to town? How do I get tickets? You just have this conversation. So it's more of a chat.
It's an ongoing chat versus just very distinct pieces of information. Yeah, currently, you say something to Siri and the very next question, she's forgotten everything. You have to say it again. And so this will be more like a traditional AI. Let's see, where were we? System one. Okay, more conversational. Oh, there's a dedicated Siri app now. It's not just push the button and Siri shows up. It's a dedicated app. I guess kind of like a mail app or reminders app you can go into and have a chat conversation.
It's also built into like your Spotlight search, where you just like pull down on your iPhone, you can start typing and you either say, search for an app, or you can start asking it questions, but then you can drag it down and it will go into that app. So it'd be like if you've used ChatGPT, Google Gemini, any of those AI chats, it's working like that natively on your iPhone with all your information, all your contacts, all your text messages, all of that information directly built in there. So and I compare it to like a lot of the other, like Google or Microsoft are talking about AI agents, and you can have it do this and that and this. This is a very, as Apple usually does, very user-friendly, very approachable method for this. Instead of having to do all this extra work, Apple, they missed the boat on releasing what they said they were going to release on things. And I do think it was 2 years ago. And then last year, they just kind of didn't talk about it. And then this year, they're finally ready.
Yeah. They
But
thought they could do it in-house.
yeah.
And they failed miserably. So that's why they're partnering with Google and using their system, which I think is a good move. But I'm very much looking forward to driving down the road and saying, tell my wife that I'm going to be late because I'm picking up donuts, and it'll send a text message to her. Then I can say, give me directions to the nearest donut store, all within the same conversation.
Yeah.
Not, okay, that was finished. Now start a complete new train of thoughts. It's like, no, it's all part of the same conversation. So I'm looking forward to that to be integrated into my phone. So with some new design and other Siri improvements, they talked about apps. So Safari, if you use Safari on your iPad or your computer, or you basically have to use it on your phone, they're going to provide smarter tabs. And this is something I'm very skeptical of.
Yes.
One of the things I dislike very much, and this wouldn't be a Not Nerd episode if Dave didn't criticize something, is, I'm in my iPad and I'm in Safari, and then I'm in Reddit, and then I'm in my text messages, and I'm in one and I want to go back to the other one. So I swipe. Oh, wait, why is the one from 4 times ago? I must have swiped the wrong way, and I swipe. No, it's constantly changing the order of the apps, and I just leave it alone. And my fear is the tab feature in Safari is going to be a lot like this. They're going to group, let's say you have an epicurious.com for your food, and let's say Fred Meyer grocery store or something like that, and another food related
pdxfastfoodie.com.
It's going to put all those in a tab group for you. And then maybe there's some for like business, like if I'm doing something for work, it's going to put 3 or 4 tabs. I don't trust it to know what it's doing, and I feel like I'm going to be trying to find where my tabs are, and I'm hoping that it's just a feature you can turn off.
Yes.
Don't mess with my tabs. But anyway, it could be helpful for some people. What was the other thing?
Oh, the extensions. So Safari added a few years back where you can use browser extensions. Well, now using Siri AI, if there's some sort of extension you need for your web browser, you can ask Siri AI to create an extension for you, which is always funny at a developer conference when you announce something like this, because a lot of people run their whole business off making Safari extensions.
Yep, and it's like, we don't need you anymore, developers, to do that particular thing. And again, I don't really trust this. Let's say, hey, shortcut Siri, I want to make an extension to block all ads on YouTube. I doubt very much that it's going to make, and of course my Siri's going
yes, it'll be very limited. There will be a lot of gatekeeping in all of this, but yeah, Safari, it'll be interesting. It does have, they also talked about their passwords app, which we recommend all the time for people in the Apple ecosystem, the Apple passwords. They do have the feature already where it'll tell you, hey, this password's shown up in a breach, or you might want to change this password. Now you can even go in there, you could select 5 websites, and it will use Siri AI to go reset and use the Apple strong passwords on those websites, which anything we can do to make password management easier and more secure, I like. It won't work for every website, but it is something that could be done where it's going to try to be able to help you be more secure, which was really good.
Which is ultimately going to help you tech better.
Yes.
Trademark.
Ding.
So, they talked about messages. I wrote suggestions. I don't know what that means. Calendars are going to describe things. You can describe things to it in more natural language, like, hey, ding dong, put an appointment at my doctor. I'm going to get my tooth checked, and it's at 4:00 next Tuesday. And it's just going to put it on your calendar with all the parts that make sense. Phone, find info from across apps. This was kind of interesting. Let's say I call a vendor who's he's selling us hats for the Not Nerd Show.
Oh, tell me more.
Yeah. So I'm going to call this guy, and on the screen, it's going to pull in some images from the latest email that maybe he's texted me or sent me an email on the latest design. So that's going to maybe show up there. So when I'm having a conversation with this person, there's going to be some context, and maybe his contact information is going to show up there as well. If I wanted to like tap it and send him a quick email, or, who knows what else you've communicated to this vendor, that all that stuff's supposed to show up when you're making a call. Again, I don't know how useful this is going to be, but if there was a bunch of information that is on all these disparate places all over the place and you wanted to be joined together in one place, that could potentially be useful.
Account info and tracking numbers.
And it's just going to find this stuff automatically and put it there. Whether it's stuff you wanted or whether it's useful, who knows? But it's going to go out and search and say, here's a bunch of junk that we think might be relevant to you.
Yeah.
So there's been a bit of that before. Like if I'm doing a search for Nate Heath, sometimes it'll bring up a picture or it'll bring up a text message or it'll bring up an email. So there is some of that in there now. It seems like it's just going to be better. Let's see, the Home app. So the Home is for like
cameras or
light bulbs,
devices, smart home stuff.
Smart home stuff. So, if you use the Home app, you've possibly seen notifications come in that says like, light 1 turned off, light 2 turned off, light 3 turned on, and that's not very useful to have 15 notifications of all these things. So it's going to be smarter about grouping those things together and updating them live as they happen versus just one after another. They have tools now that kind of do that with grouping the notifications, but apparently they're excited about it.
Yes.
And then there is some very small integration with Apple Home to security cameras, third-party cameras that are compatible with Apple Home. Now it's going to be smarter about grabbing clips of things that are in context. If you have multiple cameras and maybe there's a person, a nefarious person walking around, it can group those clips together and put them there. Look, I don't have a lot of faith in this being amazing or useful.
Well, yeah. How many years have we been waiting for the perfect smart home setup that your whole house is automated and everything just works together? But they're trying.
They seem to be excited about it.
Yes.
I think a dedicated camera system with accompanying app is probably going to be much better than this. Hey, let's throw a bunch of cameras into Apple Home and see what it can do for us. But I guess it's a start.
Yeah. Shortcuts. They talked about the Shortcuts app, which I don't use a lot, but I might use it more because now with Siri AI, you can just, if you needed to create a shortcut, the one that I use all the time is my home ETA shortcut, where it calculates how long it's going to take to get home. It sends a text message with that information. And but now you can just tell it what you want for a shortcut and it will build that shortcut for you. So you can say,
don't do any like programming.
Every time I arrive at home, please send an email to my parole officer that I'm being legal, whatever it is, those different things that you kind of think, oh, I remember about shortcuts. I wonder how I would build that. Now it's going to automate that for you. So you don't, because I've tried to build some shortcuts before and you're tapping and you're doing this and you're doing that and it gets kind of confusing. So Apple has, like with most of this stuff, they have all the data on what people are doing with shortcuts, how shortcuts are built, because they built the Shortcuts app. So they can feed that into an AI and have it know all those things it can do, how to build those, what steps are needed to create all of that stuff. So
I'm thinking of an example now. Let's say you have a Wednesday meeting every week at 9:00 and traffic is always bad. And so you could have a shortcut say, if I'm not at location by X time, send a text message to this team of people saying, I'm going to be a few minutes late.
Yes.
And it will just do it automatically.
And it could even calculate how late you're going to be because it's looking at your Maps app and seeing where your location is.
So something like that to set up is a little daunting, but if you could just tell Siri to build that for you, then that would be something that's really cool.
Yeah, no, I like that one. Image generation. Now, this is always a one that people are skeptical of and curious about. And they're talking about how, previously with last year, you could do I forget what the app's even called, but
I don't know,
image
playgrounds,
where you could do these very simple, like basically little profile pictures. They're really up in the game here, which obviously every other AI can do that stuff, but they were talking about you can really do a lot to generate images. And they give the example of if you've got a business and you need a widescreen image for your website, you can just use our image generation, which Dave said, or you could take a photo of your products, but you can change things. You can you can have fun with it. You can put your kids in space and all of that stuff, improve photos. And then they immediately went into the Photos app, and they were kind of talking about,
we're making photography better. And it's like, well, why do we need photography? We just need the image generation thing that'll do everything. It'll take pictures of people's faces and make whole new scenarios,
Yes.
But yes, the tools I am looking forward to for the Photos app.
Yes. So they've had on newer devices, you could use the cleanup tool with your photos where you could try to remove objects for it, but they're expanding it to 3 different things. They're going to keep the cleanup tool where you can remove objects from photos. They say it's a lot better, which it should be.
I hope.
An extend tool where you can make an image wider. So if like this photo, if we needed it to have more room on the sides, you could zoom out and it will generate, and it says it does that really well, which even I've tried to do that in Photoshop often. It's hit or miss, so we'll see. But then the third one is spatial reframing.
Yeah, this is going to be controversial.
Yes. So basically, if you take a picture and Dave and I are both looking off to the side and we're not in the picture, you could use this and you could change the angle of the photo.
It would be almost like you touch the screen and it's like, we can do this way, or we can do this way, or we can whatever. So you can reframe it in a 3-dimensional way so that the subjects can kind of move around and the background will in parallax move with you. So maybe there's this lamp. It's like when we first framed this shot, the lamp was right above my head. And it's like, well, if I have the spatial photo feature, I could just move my subject here. And now the thing's not over my head. So I can see it being a useful tool, but I can also see that's not really what I took a picture of. Yeah. This has now been, it's halfway between a real photo and a completely generated photo. It's somewhere in the middle. And maybe that's just the way photography is going to be in the future, is that, well, it kind of looks too perfect because it was probably some type of AI generation had happened. You've expanded it, or you've moved the subject to the left or right a little bit. So I don't know. I suppose better photos is the goal.
Yeah, all these tools results may vary.
Yeah. And people may not even use them. Like, that sounds like a good idea, but it's also going to be, I have to go back into the photo and I got to do this work,
Yeah, and throughout the thing, one of the things they did, it was a pre-recorded video, but they did live demos of the different things, which was kind of cool. I saw some people commenting online that it made things kind of move slow, but it also gave you a realistic picture, even though it was filmed ahead of time, so they could have done it 10 different times. It wasn't live on stage. But, like the spatial reframing, it took a good 30-45 seconds to process
they just let it happen on the phone while the guy was talking to the camera. They had a split shot, and it was obvious it was happening right then. There was no editing or anything, and so they would ask it to do something, and it would take a few beats, and it would do it. So it was kind of refreshing to see, to kind of lower your expectations that this stuff isn't going to happen immediately. There is going to be some processing time. But anyway, the photo stuff was pretty neat.
And that's practical stuff. That's stuff that people are going to try. I mean, there was practical stuff throughout. They did take a couple minutes at the end to talk directly to developers before the developer State of the Union. They talked about app intents, basically third-party apps. You're going to be surprised. The developer conference, Dave.
Yeah.
Third-party apps are going to get a bunch of new features to work better on Apple products.
That seems like pretty on brand.
Yes. Yeah. So that's why you're a developer conference. I'm sure we'll talk more after we hear people discuss everything this week. And they have a full week of sessions. And so we'll be getting a lot more information we can discuss next week on some of the ins and outs.
Yeah, but these notes here are kind of a framework and a preview of what we're going to see this fall when the products come out. And if you're so bold, you can sign up and use the beta software now, or you can wait for the public beta next month, or you can just wait till September and get the finished version. They never seem to finish it when they release this stuff. They're always doing subsequent updates. But to each their own. If you're excited about any of these things we've talked about, maybe you want to try the beta. As a reminder, I would not put any betas on any software or on any devices that you rely on for work or emergencies or anything that's critical, because so here's a real world example. Many years ago, I rushed to put a beta on my phone, and I had a Movie Pass type thing, and it didn't recognize the OS as being legitimate or whatever, and so the app didn't work. And so I'm like, how do I now I can't go use my Movie Pass thing or whatever. So it wasn't life or death, but I was paying for Movie Pass and I wanted to use it, so I had to get a second device and
yes. Not all of us have this.
We don't have all these devices.
This accessibility.
So be careful if you're going to rush right out.
I would not recommend it. I usually put the betas on at some point, but even some of the Siri AI stuff, if you're really excited about that, that probably won't be coming out even when the first official releases. But yeah, I mean, overall, like the rumors were saying that this year is kind of a, hey, let's dial things in. There's no, I mean, the Siri AI stuff, if it performs as advertised, will be a really big change on things. But overall, it's not, they're not, last year they did the liquid glass thing, which was polarizing, to say the least.
Not a fan.
Yeah. I'm actually in the middle. I'm kind of indifferent to it because I just keep using my devices and stuff. But there was nothing that I really thought was groundbreaking. A lot of the AI stuff is kind of catching up with some of the AI platforms, Google, ChatGPT, Claude, all the different ones that they're trying to build it into the Apple devices. Now you can still use all those other AIs. They did mention at some point just very quickly that you could use like Claude or ChatGPT. I don't know if it was for a specific, some of the cloud computing or what, to tie it into your devices.
Yeah, you can kind of choose what you want to. But these are incremental updates to move the platforms forward and to the future. And so I mean, I think it's fine that there wasn't anything just huge groundbreaking stuff. It's just, let's make what we have better, which is something that was really needed since they made so many fundamental changes last year that kind of turned the tables on everything. Now they're improving those changes and making them a little more stable. And I'm all for that. Yeah.
And a lot of it, that first part was speed and safety. They talked about their privacy, not just with the kids stuff, but the privacy with the AI, the foundational models and cloud computing, whatever.
It sounds so dramatic.
Yes. But yeah, it was good. And then at the very end of the thing, I believe Craig wrapped up his part on developers. And then who came back out, Dave?
Good morning. Tim Apple Cook came back out and kind of gave a thank you. And as we touched on at the beginning, really said that he was privileged to be the CEO of Apple for, past 15 years or so. And he's not going anywhere. He's going to stick around as the chairman of the board of directors. But, it's time for a new chapter in Apple. And so he thanked everybody and said his farewell. And surprisingly, not one peep out of John Turnus, who is the new CEO. He wasn't in the show at all.
He's like, I don't start till fall. I haven't got my raise yet.
He's like, I'm on vacation.
Yes.
No, I think they did that on purpose to not take anything away from Tim.
And they did have probably 30 to 40 different Apple employees for each different section.
All over the place.
Well-produced video. I don't know that you need to watch it, especially, I mean, if you're an Apple user, but you're a casual user, it's like, this is announcing everything that's going to come in the fall. They'll kind of reiterate it when they release the new iPhones in the fall, any other devices.
Look for one of those Apple Worldwide Developer 2026 in 5 minutes video where they just hit the highlights.
Or just trust the Not Nerd Show.
Why watch an hour and 15-minute show when you could watch us talk about it for an hour?
For 2.5 hours.
Why would you do that to yourself?
No, but it was very interesting. It was good to watch. You can watch it just to watch their video capabilities. It was all filmed on iPhones, edited on Macs, as they've been doing for the last couple of events. There was one other item to close out the show. There was some rapper.
I had no idea who he was.
No, but he did a music video and used a million app names in the thing.
It was crazy.
I mean, it was interesting. But if you have any questions, let us know in the comments. There was so much more information, and we don't want to go on forever about it. This is a special episode this week. We will be back live next Tuesday. I didn't bring my envelope with me, but like and subscribe.
Hey, don't be looking around, because
I know, within reach. I've been taking some covert photos here, so I know what's going to be within reach. We'll have all the normal stuff again next week, but we love watching the live events together, getting on, talking about it right after with our initial reactions. And Apple, they did it again. They were much better than Microsoft and Google. Not that any of you watched those. If you did watch those, let me know in the comments. But with that, we're going to get back to our Monday, and we want you to get out there and tech better. Ooh, you stink.
What? How dare you?